everyone. For this video blog, I have chosen to focus on a North Carolina free black man named Joe Bright. Joe Bright was a free man and his wife Polly was a former slave. Together they had 10 children, 6 of whom Mr. Bright wanted to have help out on the 40 acres of land which he was leasing from Mr. Joe Beeson in Duplin County, North Carolina. Joe Bright knew that he could be economically secure and successful in Postbellum America. So he had agreed to cultivate 2/3 of the crop on Mr. Beeson's 40 acres of land. Mr. Bright was skilled at many things and wanted to put those skills to use. Mr. Bright was a skilled mason and plasterer who was perfectly capable of supporting his family by hard labor work as long as people would not interfere with his family matters. Unfortunately for Mr. Bright, his 6 younger children were bound to W.A. Mathis by the County Court of Sampson County. Mr. Bright wrote a letter to the Freedmen's Bureau requesting his children be returned to him since he was capable of supporting them. What exactly was the Freedmen's Bureau? FB, as it was called, was a federal agency which oversaw the transition from slavery to freedom in the post-Civil War American South. The purpose of the Freedmen's Bureau was to help ex-slaves overcome an extremely hostile, racist environment that included the need to articulate new labor relations structures given the demise of the plantation system, to overcome the limitations on equality legislated by the infamous Black Codes, to address the pressing need to educate masses of highly illiterate Black children, and the need to provide protection for freedmen from unscrupulous landowners. In Mr. Bright's letter to Freedmen's Bureau Superintendent of the Southern District of North Carolina, Colonel Allen Rutherford, Mr. Bright insisted his children were removed from the cornfield and bound to white men. Mr. Bright insisted he was unaware of any law that would allow children of a freed man to be bound to others as long as the parent was capable of supporting them. Mr. Bright wanted justice. He wanted his children returned to him and his wife. Their economic livelihood depended on it. The parents protested that, quote, they are able to maintain them and that they have never given their consent to have them bound or to be taken away from them in any way, unquote. The justice of the peace even described Joe as, quote, a free fellow, and his wife Polly, a former slave. In the end, Colonel Rutherford issued the following instructions, quote, the children of Joe Bright will be returned to him immediately, as it appears by these papers that he never gave his consent to their being bound apprentices. On May 14, 1866, Joe Bright received a letter authorizing him to take the children back from W.A. Mathis. Now, this made me kind of do some pondering. In postbellum America, free Black men and even former slaves were still not fully free, as you can see by the challenges Mr. Bright had to go through. Joe Bright just wanted to put his various skills to use, to support his family, which he was more than capable of. It makes you wonder how many more people like Joe Bright there were in postbellum America, whose economic livelihood was being negatively affected to no fault of their own. Thank you. Have a good day. God bless.